Planning a road trip in your Porsche sounds like a dream, and for these drivers, it was exactly that. Over several unforgettable days, they carved their way through the French countryside, hit the Nurburg Ring, cruised the route Napoléon, and crossed into the heart of the Pyrenees. In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about planning a Porsche road trip, from route ideas and must-see spots to what to pack, where to stay, and what they wish they'd done differently. So if you're dreaming of the ultimate European driving tour, this is the video to watch. Let's meet the crew, hear what really went down on the road, and see how much fun they had. My name's Trevor Joseph, you're watching Rolling Slow Media. Let's get into this.
Thank you so much for coming on the channel. You guys have just come back from an epic road trip. I've seen all the photos and the video and I'm super jealous. And the reason why I've invited you guys down is because I want to know in great detail, what was it like planning this trip? What was it like being on this trip? Any highs and lows, fun times? Just what were the roads like? What was the Pyrenees like? What was the Nurburg Ring like? You guys literally ticked every single box that a Porsche owner would want to tick if they went on a road trip. So yeah, let's start off by introducing yourselves and tell me about the cars that you drove.
My name's John. I drove my 996.2 Carrera 4S. I've had
Nice.
for 20 years and I love it every day. And it's the only manual out of the group.
Cool.
My name's Jerry and I've got a red 997. It's a Gen 2.
Yeah.
PDK, as John mentioned. I'm not embarrassed. I love it.
And
I'm Daniel. I drive
Come
a
back in the
GT3
frame.
991.1 that belongs to my bank, but I like.
My name's Dave and I've got a 981 Popster with a little bit of a livery on it. Yeah, great car.
It's only a Boxster.
It's only a Boxster.
And my name's Derek. I drive a 991.1 GTS, which I've owned 2 weeks before the trip.
so I've got a list of questions. So what were the most useful tools or apps that you used when planning this journey?
I suppose Google Maps. We use Scenic and I used a website called Map to GPX.
Actually, you can hold that.
Right, thank you. So Maps to GPX is quite good. You can trace a route on Google Maps, copy the URL and it will turn it into a GPX. Then you can follow it in an app without deviation. Doesn't reroute. That's quite handy. Other tools, 2-foot wrench.
Yes, it was most important as I had a bit of a breakdown. But I broke down at the Nurburg Ring, so I had to spend 3 nights at the Nurburg Ring waiting for my Porsche parts.
Really?
But luckily,
Did you guys all wait with him, or did you like? No, you buggered off.
they had to go.
We made
They
sure
had
we
to go.
sorted
Yes.
and then we left.
But the tools I brought, the tools Jerry brought, and you know, the tools I borrowed. I'd like to give a shout out to RSR, who ring hire cars. They helped me with tools as well, so they were good. I had a pulley belt failure, a pulley bolt snapped, and obviously the auxiliary drive belt meant I couldn't drive it any distance. So I managed to get back to the hotel. This was a Saturday night. Monday night Monday morning we went to Porsche Mantai, which is local. The hotel owner took me down there. Big shout to him, Johan, and ordered the parts, but they never arrived till the Wednesday morning. And then the Wednesday morning, fitted the parts, and I said to my son George, I said, right, it was about 11:30. I said, we've got to go, and we've got to head to Hacker, which was about 900 miles, about 12 hours. So we hit the road, and it was an absolute blast.
It sounds like a proper Top Gear
It
episode,
was.
doesn't it? Like you didn't expect that
And
to happen.
he was very lucky because the thing he broke in a runabout
Yeah.
when he could
Yeah.
have broken in
It
the,
could have broke-
doing 150 miles an hour.
Could have broke on the ring. I did 2 laps on the
Yeah.
ring before it broke, so you know it worked out well. I know it's easy to drive on French roads
Yeah.
that distance with that amount of hours because there's no traffic. The roads are like glass. It's a pleasure to drive that.
Yeah.
Driving in the UK,
And people are very orderly. Everyone switches lanes, lets you through it.
really good, really good.
All right. So my next question: did you guys pack anything other than the tools? Did you what was the most essential things that you packed?
Radios.
Radio.
Yeah.
Most important thing on any. Oh, here we go. Most
The radio
important thing
X
on any road trip, anything you do, car radios. So important.
And the cloth to clean the tips.
And a cloth to
exhaust
clean the
tips.
exhaust tips as well is even more important. But radios, absolutely essential part of any road trip.
Yeah.
And was there anything that you wish you packed that you didn't, and then when you got there you realised, I wish we had this?
I wish there was a 991 GTS.
Santa.
Thanks, yeah. And how did the cars perform? Like, what was it? What was your cars like?
Well,
Compared to like
step
driving.
one.
After the breakdown,
Yeah.
it performed no problem, didn't burn any oil. I only covered 2,500 miles because I missed part of the trip.
And
Perfect cars for this sort of trip.
Yeah.
Twisties, motorways, twisties especially.
And like, all your cars are all sort of in different. How can I put it? Like
Different
you've got
category.
a GT3.
Yeah, I've got and next to the box.
You got the GTS.
Yes.
You've got a 997.2. They're all like very different, even though they're all Porsches. How did you find keeping with each other and like
Well, I think-
performance-wise?
No problem.
Yeah.
I've probably got the least
Yeah.
power. Or
No, I've got the least power. I've got the least power.
But the thing is, it's more about the pianist than the piano. You know? So I guess that we are all
Yeah.
in the same level.
it was all.
So like obviously you got the GT3. That's like the track-focused car. Did you guys feel that you had like an obligation to like
Never once.
No.
try and beat him?
We were egging him on to catch us up.
So obviously in Nürburgring I was in an advantage
Yeah,
of the car, but then in the wet, in the twisty roads in France and Spain wet, I was. They were cruising and I was fighting with the steering wheel constantly. So. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
that's the mic.
I'm sorry. But
You can hear
next
me,
week-
okay? Yeah. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So it was an advantage in the track.
Yeah.
But then in the twisty roads raining, I was fighting with the steering wheel. There's some videos you will see corrections all the time. So I was sweating when they were let's stop here for a correction, please.
I
brain is
definitely have a question for you, but goes to all of you guys. Who was the most comfortable, and who was the least comfortable in their cars for the 3,000 miles you did?
I was very uncomfortable on the Nurburg Ring in my car.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got on the ring and I was like, do you know what? I want to get off this in my car. But in his car, I went passenger. Unbelievable. But on the main roads, I was happy in that. I had no problems with that. I was happy with my own car. But But on the Nürburg Ring, no, didn't want to do it.
So I purchased my car 2 weeks before the trip. So for me, this was like a bonding experience almost. And I think I struggled at the ring initially. I was a bit worried, trying to learn the car. But actually, after the ring, when we went to France and on the Spanish in the mountains, I really bonded with the car. Became as one. Was super comfortable. Last year I used a 997 with the manual. It was hard work trying to keep up with this man. But actually this year I just found it so easy. He didn't get away very far.
Under my gas pedal.
So he says.
He left the choke out a couple of times.
And so, what were like the accommodation you stayed in? Like, what were some of the highlights?
I'll comment on the last one.
A mixture. A mixture. Yeah.
I think it was great in general.
Yeah, overall I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah.
We tried to pick the middle of the road. Like, you could have gone to the Ritz, you could have gone to a hotel, the one star, but we tried to kind of pitch it where the rooms are comfortable, everything you needed, just shower, breakfast, whatever you need. But it was good.
Actually, it was everywhere okay, except in my place that we didn't have hot water because the boiler didn't work.
Mr. Boiler.
Mr. Boiler, yeah,
We just need someone with technical skills to fix a boiler.
I think having a smaller group meant that we were able to get all in the same hotel, have a decent sized room. We generally, the three of us shared one room and the other guys had a room between themselves. So it was easier to kind of book all that in advance. And for hotels to
Parking easier.
be able to accommodate not just ours but the cars.
That was key. The hotels you picked, parking was important. Last thing you want to do is leave your car out on the street and leave it around the corner. So every hotel we had its own private parking, which is very important.
Some had underground parking.
It was lovely.
Yeah. You want the cars to be secure, don't you? Did you guys find any like hidden gems along the way that like you just discovered by accident?
What we used to do is go out for a drive, And we used to like to try to find like a breakfast, someone to have a coffee or a cross of coffee. And we drove around this corner, and all of a sudden we found this like old farm shop that had been converted to like a bakery. Oh my God! It was like you walked in there. It was the best bakery.
Art.
It was art. It was pure art. And we sat there. We've gone. How did we find this place? Just literally out in the middle of nowhere, we found this place. So yeah, that was my number one place I found.
I think although the routes were planned in advance, there were times where we decided to go off track, off piste, if you like. And there was a couple of times in France where, like the D24, which we all thought that was going to be a little bit uninteresting, actually became one of the best roads that we've driven on, because there was no one there. It was really fast, really twisty.
Really scenic as well. Sort of lavender fields and twisty roads and sort of slightly mountainous as well. So it was a fantastic road. I would definitely use it again if we go back that way.
Yeah, I think also we visit a balneary in Panticosa in the north of Spain. And it's like, so the road to get there is unreal. It's just 180-degree turns all the way with cliffs. It's very interesting. And then when you get into the place, the scenery is unreal. And also the building is like a James Bond film, and the hotel, it was so cool. Yeah, the food was good, so it's all very good.
Yeah. Would you say that was like the most memorable moment of the trip? Because that was going to be my next question. Like, what was the most memorable moment? Other than
not for me.
Down.
No. For me personally, it was the last day in the Pyrenees.
Yeah.
That was the last day. It was top of my
all together.
all together. Yeah, first thing, and also the drives and everything. It was top moment.
We had an experience where we all swapped cars, so we all had an opportunity to drive each other's cars and really kind of experience what the other person was feeling at the time. So it was great. You know, Danny and I swapped cars.
I swapped,
we swapped. And it was a fantastic experience.
He dropped down again.
Some
Trust
people,
that you guys must have.
some people didn't want to swap with me.
No, absolutely.
I don't know
There was
why.
no, there's more chance. I'm not letting him in that because I wouldn't see it.
But yeah, it was a real good opportunity to kind of have explore what the other cars were like in that kind of environment, because we don't get to drive these cars in England or in the UK like we do perhaps abroad. So having an opportunity to drive a GT3 in anger on a beautiful road, that's quite an experience. So
You guys are obviously all mates, but how did this trip sort of change your friendship? How did it bring you guys together?
They're my British friends. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
But also, I think, sorry,
No, God, I think-
overcoming adversity, we did have a few issues with technical stuff, and everyone helped. Everyone had something to add.
Yeah.
They didn't just pee off and suit themselves. We stuck together. That's important.
So for anyone who's watching who wants to plan a road trip, what would you say is the top piece of advice that you would give
I got
to
one.
a group of guys?
So
who-
should
Give
we
me
start?
$3,000 and I take you.
So I think the most important thing is have a bunch of guys who are all going to get on. I think that is one thing that we found out, certainly from last trip and this trip, that actually we all got on like house on fire. And that is the major, the driving bit is obviously very important, but actually there is such a social element to this, that being able to sit together and have dinner and laugh about the day and talk about what we did is hugely important. So for me, that's it.
Intensive time. You're with each other for a week or 8 days. You need to get on. Everyone's got the same sort of aims.
Adaptable.
Same approach.
And the banter's got to be kind of like, you've got plenty of it, and we've all got our own pluses and minuses on what we agree with, but you've got to realise that none of it was personal and it was all banter, and you've got to accept that. And if you can't accept that in a group, if you think, oh, that was a bit, then you can't be in the
I
group.
thought we agreed on everything.
Well, turn the camera off now. Turn it off now.
Just edit that in.
I think the other thing was that the planning, we picked a date. I said, right, let's book the train, ferry, out and in, then book where we want to be or where we want to go, and then fit that in and how long it's going to take to get to places. And then start booking the hotels and decide how long we're going to stay, because going every night at a different hotel can be a bit of a tall order, and you've got to be somewhere. Whereas I would have spent 3 nights in Hacker. It would have been a lot better.
Right, so that's going to bring me on to my last question. Hold on, when that mic goes. How much did the trip cost you all individually?
Is my wife going to watch this video?
No. We've got wife filter activated on the channel.
Well, I had my son George with me, and I had to pay obviously for two of us.
Yeah.
Probably £2,500. I know I did 2,500 miles, 680 quid in fuel, and £105 in tolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's is fairly similar. I think about £3,000 and probably about £850 in fuel for me.
I don't want to know. As soon as I start counting brakes and tires, I will cry. So that's a question not for me. I'm sorry.
I spent a bit more because I bought more coffee than these guys. So I had a couple more cups of
100%.
coffee. 100%. Yeah, I think the same as them, really. £2,500, something like that. Maybe.
Did you have to pay to get any toilets as well? Because that would make your bill.
Yeah, I had to pay a couple of euros. I had a little stash of coins I had to keep chucking in.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
sorry. I've done a few more miles because I had to do with the M25 twice.
you had to get that one in because you got lost. I think all our costs were fairly similar. What was interesting actually is when we filled up, we generally used to fill up together, and all the cars, the consumption was fairly equal. So we were filling up with the same kind of literage, regardless of capacity or driving abilities.
At 7,000 revs each.
Yeah, because the cars were performing fairly equally. We're all going on the same road. We were using the same amount of fuel, regardless of the type of vehicle used. Yeah.
Same engine capacity, I guess, all across.
Yeah, well,
Sorry. So it was interesting. Yeah, very.
My one's the only manual, so I'm going to get, and the older car, so I'm going to get, I was getting 25, 28 to the gallon.
Yeah.
John, do you have a manual?
Did I not tell you? Did I not mention that? Come have a look. 3 pedals.
Too many pedals.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on the channel and just giving us an insight into your beautiful road trip. Like I said, I've seen the videos, I've seen the photos, super jealous. If you guys are doing this next year, I'm definitely coming, 100%. Are you doing it next year?
Of course.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you.
Where
We'd
do
love to have
you
you.
reckon you might go next year?
No M2's allowed though. It's a Porsche.
Damn it.
Yeah, look.
I've got a Golf.
I got 2, but no.
It's a backup car.
I'll be the support vehicle. Yeah?
Well, I think it will be again May, no?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I put in the diary
Already?
a hip operation in May. So every May I got a week for me, regardless.
What is that? Extract money from your wallet?
Yes.
Hip operation?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Trevor,
Guys,
Thank you,
it's a
Trevor.
Pleasure. Thank
A
you.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Trevor.
awesome.
Thank you for your time.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're planning a road trip in a 911, I hope that this video has helped in some way, shape or form. I know for a fact that next year I'm taking my 911 on a road trip with these guys. Anyway, until the next video, take care, peace, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.
That's your arm.
Only one take, man. Just to let you know, these ones are fun.